I'm curious, what's your general advice for physicians trying to build their network? Obviously with other physicians, but also with non-clinicians involved in healthcare as well, like yourself, who the legal aspects or leadership or business. What would be kind of your advice as far as that goes?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I mean, it's a great question. I think in terms of constantly, one of the spine surgeons that my spouse talks about all the time talks constantly about what are you doing besides medicine? And what you're doing besides medicine is so important for so many reasons. I would say the most important is if you're a physician and you just do medicine for 30, 40 years, that's all you do, the chance of you being burnt out and sick of what you do, I think, are just very high. And so more than anything else, you got to be doing something, not because you want to make more money on the side, not because you want to build a brand, not because for whatever reason you want to. Those are all good reasons. For whatever reason you want to, you have to have hobbies and endeavors and engagements outside of practice if you don't want to be completely burnt out in 30, 40 years. At least is my experience. And there's obviously counterexamples to that. But by and large, I think you have to be doing something besides just practice if you want to make it work. The people that I've worked over the course of years, there's people that are able to set some sort of boundaries and those that are not. And those that are not ultimately have to switch jobs periodically, have to switch things periodically, have to switch teams periodically, not because they're not just magnificent, but they have no ability to sort of say, no, this is all I'm doing right now. For example, you were, as I understand it, on call all weekend. You've got today doing some of the other stuff, not grinding away on Monday after being on call all weekend, because that's an exhausting way to live. And people could do it. You're much, much younger than I am. People could do it. They could grind through it for X amount of years, but sooner or later it catches up on you. So like whether it's learning, engaging, what you're doing right now is you do podcasting allows you to talk to very interesting people, not so interesting people, but a whole mix of things, and allows you to keep learning yourself, with yourself being the pivot point around that. So that's obviously a pleasure. People go to events. I'm a big fan if you go to events, but if you go to events, you got to engage. You can't just be there. You have to engage. I'm a big fan of, like, you want to get better at something, you probably got to be humble enough to seek advice on how to do it. It's something that men generally, particularly, aren't particularly good at. So if you look at a thing like either a sport we're trying to get better at, an area we're trying to get better at, there's this old stereotype that men will spend so much time and effort and energy before they finally ask for help or directions. And there's a humility in being willing to say, I can't figure it out. I've got to sort of learn and I need to ask somebody. But it's hard. It's hard to do that for most of us that are achievement oriented, think of ourselves as alpha types, have been successful, whatever we do, but then to actually seek help and be humble and say, I need help with this is a challenging thing. But I think constantly looking for that help in what you're trying to learn too. But I think it starts with this doctor, Alpesh Patel. I'll give him credit for it. He is a spine surgeon in Chicago. I think chairs the Northwestern department, but constantly asks, what else are you doing? What else are you thinking about? And it's not that you don't want to spend, I'm always a believer you spend 80% of your core of what you do. So 80% for you might be being the greatest interventional radiologist in the country, great at what you do. And then 20% is, what else am I doing to expand my network, to think, to learn, to grow, to constantly be growing? And I think that's a great way of looking at things. What am I doing as a core, spending X% on? And then what am I doing to grow and learn and grow? And I think it's just so important. And everybody's got to figure out different ways to do that. But I think it's so important. And most of us need help in doing it. We can't do it ourselves.